All right. Hi, my name is Richard.lesperance. I go by the name of my man Richard. Welcome to A Better Lifestyle. Today I have the pleasure to have Aaron Taylor with me. Aaron is he's a musician and songwriter. So welcome, Aaron, to the podcast.
All right, Richard. Thanks for letting me be here.
It's my pleasure. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a primarily hip hop artist, currently living in LA, and I've been doing music, writing, and production for the last, gosh, almost like 15, 16 years now. And so I got started in 2008. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and I started creating my own beats as well as my own songs and putting them on YouTube. And I decided to do, in terms of my musical journey, I decided to start putting out a video a week for an entire year in the hopes of being able to have other people see me and get on. And some of my songs started to go viral and connect, which allowed me to eventually move out to California, where I continue to write songs and produce things.
Okay. What kind of hip hop do you do? Are you a gospel artist or you do both?
Well, it's funny. I'm a semi-clean artist. Like I don't really curse too much in my songs, but I've always been a creative person. When I was in college, I actually went to school for fine and performing arts, and so there are often times where I have opinions on things, or I just have a creative mindset to where I want to put those thoughts and feelings into songs. So like I'm not a hardcore gangster artist. I grew up in the suburbs. Nobody would believe that. So I'd say I'm more in the vein of like a Kanye or even like a Lupe, where it's like I can rap about a variety of subjects, but they're not really hardcore stuff. But it's things that people can relate to. And then there are some things, like I said, I have thoughts and feelings about certain things that creatively I think I write from a different perspective than a lot of other people do. And so yeah, that's how I'm able to get my thoughts and feelings out about stuff.
Okay. Are you an independent artist? Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Okay. So do you plan to do you want to sign to a major label or you want to stay on the independent side?
Honestly, at this point in my life, it would depend on the situation. Like, I've definitely been an observer of people that have gotten bad deals and have been stuck in, purgatory and limbo as it pertains to being in the regular system. And I also know that sometimes the pace at which I think of ideas and want to put them out doesn't always correlate with labels where it's like, okay, we have a plan, we want to launch it this certain way, we want to, we have to delay certain things. So it would really depend on the situation. Ultimately, I'm always down to see whatever comes across my table and, decide based on that information what's going to be the right situation. So far, I've done mostly independent. And so I've been able to have a few successes. I've had stuff put on radio. I've had, videos and songs of mine go viral without the push of any kind of label. So I think that if a label was around that wanted to help with those efforts, there'd be ways to negotiate that. So it would depend on the situation.
Okay. And I know a lot of people are independent, so it's getting really popular. I don't know if you're familiar with Lil Russell and Nick D, all these people.
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, these guys are doing pretty well. So, how many albums do you have have that you've released so far?
Oh my gosh, let's see. I released my first album in college. At the time, I was known around campus for making voicemails on my phone that were like sing-songy and very popular. And so, in my senior year of college, I released my first album, which was called Check the Resume, and that sold pretty well on campus. So from there, you'd see that one I did when I was recording in 2008. I had a lot of stuff go viral, and so I had quite a few mixtapes out that like got downloaded like tens of thousands of times. So I would say since then, I did a recording in 2008. That was my first one called the APT LP. Then I did APT Strikes Back, and then I did a collaboration album with a friend of mine that was called Manifest Destiny. And so I'd probably say about like 7 or 8 albums so far. And then most recently, I put out an album in June that was kind of a collection of previous songs I'd put out just because I like a lot of my albums weren't on streaming services just because at the time that I was releasing albums, streaming services didn't quite exist yet. And so I had a lot of stuff that was on YouTube and in my back catalog that just wasn't available. And so I had another song go viral this past year that when I put it out, people were saying, "Hey, we want to hear a whole album." And so I had some songs that were already recorded. I also had songs that needed to be re-recorded because when I first started out, I didn't have the best equipment, and so now I'm older and I have better equipment, so I was able to re-record some things and put together some new songs to put an album out this year as well. So on streaming right now, I have 3 different albums out, and then I'm in the process of like the album I put out this past June was called "Allow Me to Reintroduce Myself" Volume 1, which was like saying, "Hey, these are some songs that I've put out in case you don't know who I am." And so I'm currently working on putting out the second part to that, which will be out later next year.
There's a lot of talks in regards to streaming. Some people are not too happy about it. The artists are not too happy about it. What's your take on that? Is that what do you think about the whole situation?
Well, it's interesting because I think just music and songs themselves, I think music is a gateway to be able to make other monies. And I think that sometimes it's good to be able to get money for streaming. Like I definitely get money from streaming my songs, but I don't think artists should rely on that solely as the end all be all to make money. Rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. He showed us that like putting together a cohesive work and then selling it as an artist as yourself and setting your own price point could be a more lucrative way to do that. Also, obviously, when people make songs, they think, oh, I'm going to make like songs and I hope that they're going to sell well, whatever. But you got to look beyond just the streaming portion because there are other ways for just like a song of yours to make you more money than your album. Whether it's, you get it synced licensed with a movie, a TV commercial of some kind, a TV show, like those are ways that you can make bigger monies. I actually had a friend that used to work at Sony Studios like way back in the day, and he would see checks come across the desk for songs that Sony was licensing, and it'd be like one song that would be used for like maybe like half of the song would be used, and the artist would get like $100,000 check for that one song. And so I think artists need to start thinking beyond just like, I want to make sure my album pops off because your album's not going to make a lot of money. I remember DMX back in the day said that he sold 5 million albums and the album only made him $500,000, So you got to look at, okay, but what other avenues does that music open up? Does it open up you to be able to speak at things? Does it open you up for, being an actor on a show? Like there's so many other avenues that music opens up to where if the streaming makes a million or billion streams, that's absolutely great. But what other opportunities does that open up that will allow me to make more money or collaborate with other people that could be more lucrative?
So what's your brand strategy at the moment? Do you sell merch or do you do concerts? What's your whole game plan?
Well, primarily right now, I do YouTube and TikTok as my way to gather followers. So I have a decent following on YouTube and TikTok, and I'm putting out albums right now. But my end strategy ultimately is to be able to like get my songs out there in a way that they can be used at large. Like I said, TV shows, movies, stuff like that. I'm also looking to collaborate with other people. In addition to writing songs, I also produce music. And so I've had the opportunity before to write and collaborate with other artists from a variety of genres and different media avenues. But those are other ways that I look to brand myself because like I really like doing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, but the artistry kind of came about as an accident because even though I like putting out my own stuff, I was originally trying to write for other people and produce for other people, and I put my own stuff out as a way for people to see that. It just so happened that it got really popular. So that's something that I'm still working on, but it's like ultimately I like to collaborate with other people.
You know about Ryan Leslie, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, very, very famous. Yes.
Okay. now he's doing a lot of stuff like independently, and he has this app. I forgot what's the name of the app, but he's trying like to sell direct to consumers. Is that one of your future strategies? Like when you're gonna release an album, or
I think so. Like I have a website up now, and I have an Instagram, a TikTok, and a YouTube where I push my stuff. So every time I put a video up, I have my stuff in the links that they can go buy it, they can go stream it. But I think that anytime an artist can go directly to the consumer, it's a lot better because it creates a more authentic relationship with that other person. Like they have access to you, and they're more invested in helping you along on your journey when they feel like it's a personal buy versus just like, oh, just this artist doesn't know me at all and I'm streaming whatever. He doesn't know who I am that streamed it or who bought it. Like I like being to be more connected with my fans like that.
uh, who inspired you when you started like your music journey?
Well, when I grew up in the late '90s, early 2000s rap scene, so you had your pinnacles, your Jay-Z's, your Eminems, your Biggies, your Nellies, stuff like that. And so I think when I started out, I was really like imitating a lot of those guys, especially like Eminem's creative side. Like he doesn't rap about typical stuff, and I like that angle of it. So initially, I was writing a lot of stuff that was kind of shocking and whatever, and then over time, I started to find my own voice. But most of those artists are still around. Nas is still rapping. Jay-Z's not rapping as much now, but his influence impacted a lot of other rappers that are out now. Your Little Waynes, like anybody that's because again, I'm not a hood dude. So even though a lot of those rappers also rap like hood stuff, like some of them also had ways of writing about things that I could relate to that gave me hope of like, oh, okay, people can listen to these kind of raps also, so I could also go in this direction instead of this direction and still have fans.
Have you done like collaborations with the people in the industry? Like,
Uh, I haven't directly collaborated with anybody like any big names and stuff like that. There were a few. For a while, I was working with an actor named J. Anthony Brown. Like he used to be on the Tom Joyner show, and so some of my songs got to him, and I ended up helping him work on some songs as it pertains to like the comedic side of things. Because I do a lot of raps that are also in a comedic vein. I grew up under like listening to Weird Al, and I'm very much a fan of comedy clubs and comedians in general. And so I've been able to collaborate with a lot of people in that industry as well, just for like coming up with different ideas, making videos for them, and also like writing some stuff.
so what do you think about AI now in being out there
In terms of
in the music, how it's going to affect the music industry?
I think with everything that's created, I think there's a pro and a con. And I think that I don't think it'll ever get to, well, I don't think it'll get to a point necessarily where AI is going to completely be able to take over any particular artist because at the end of the day, like they can write to an extent, but they can't quite. They have yet to be able to write like rhythm and flow properly. Like if I say to AI, "Hey, I want you to write me a rap song," because I've done a few times where I've tested just like, "Hey, write a song about this," and they can't really get a style and flow together, nor can they really think of ideas that are outside of a particular box because AI is going to write based on what it's programmed to think and feel about. And so I think in that respect, it's not going to completely take over. But I do like the part where, there are artists, for example, like DOC or artists that, they had throat issues or something happened where they lost their voice and that particular artist is able to use AI to put out songs that sound like the way they sounded back in the day that maybe they can't sound now. And so I'm like, if the public at large is saying, hey, we want to hear from you and we don't really care if it's you as you are now or you as you are back then, and the artist wants to do that, then I think that's fine as long as the artist has some say in how that's being used. I'm not a fan of the idea of like the artist dies and people are like, well, we're going to just recreate that artist. Like, as much as I miss Prince and Michael Jackson, I don't want to hear an AI version of them. Like, because there's a level of soul that goes into how they were writing and how they were performing that's going to be missed by AI. And people may agree or disagree. People may just be like, we just want to hear the tone. We don't care if the artist is alive or not. I think that that's something to care about.
I think in 2008, you had done a song, Obama, a song. I don't know what's. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. So in 2008, like I said, I was trying to figure out ways to get myself noticed in the music industry. And so there was a guy that had started putting out a song a week for a whole year. And his fifth song was an acoustic version of Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot. And that song ended up taking off and he was able to do like concerts and it got really famous. So 2008 was around the time that I discovered YouTube. I got a camera for the first time and I said, you know what? I'm going to take that guy's idea, but I'm going to make a music video every single week for a whole year. And so I started doing that. And the fifth song that I did was around the time that Obama had just won his party's nomination for president, and Lil Wayne had just dropped the Carter 3, which sold 1.1 million copies that first week. And at the time, the biggest song off of that album was this song called A Milli. And so the backdrop of that song, the beat, there's a vocal in the beat that goes, A Milli, A Milli, A Milli, A Milli. And so I was at the time working as a server at a restaurant and I was trying to think of a song number 5 to do for that week. And at that moment, as I was walking around the restaurant, I just started thinking like Obama, 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 Obama instead of a Milli. And I thought it was funny. And like I said, back at my school days, I had done songs that were like remakes of other people's songs that people were getting a kick out of listening to on my messaging machine. So I just figured, oh, for this week, I'll do a remake of that song, but instead of calling it A Milli, I'll do one about Obama. And then I just kind of looked up his campaign and what he was about, and I put together the song called Obama Milli. And I put that song out on a Sunday. And I figured at the time I'd only done 5 videos. I was new to YouTube. I figured my mom and my brother and maybe some friends from college would see it, and then that'll be that. And by like the end of that first week, it had like 200,000 hits. And I was like, what is going on? And because I wasn't aware of like how a song could carry, I just figured the song would die out in like 2 or 3 weeks. Like I figured I'm going to make more songs and more weeks will go by and people forget about it. And that song is still being like played to this day. It's still my most popular song on my streaming service. And so, yeah, like that. But that song started to get me noticed by people. I started doing interviews with like countdown radio shows. And there was a guy in California that saw my song posted by another radio station on their website. And he reached out to me to work on a song with him that ended up getting me out to California. So that particular song ended up propelling me in terms of like my music stuff like pretty quickly. I had put it on a mixtape, and the night that Obama got elected, it got downloaded like 10,000 times. And so yeah, so that really allowed me to see like the power of when you put music out there that people relate to, it can really take you to different places.
You've collaborated with BET and the NAACP, I believe. Talk to us about that.
Well, yeah. So out here in California, I've been privy to be able to be in different media spaces. And so in addition to doing music stuff, I've been able to actually work behind the scenes, doing video work and doing interviews and stuff for these various entities. So with the NAACP Awards, we got invited to go. And so I was able to do some behind the scenes stuff with them that was really exciting because I had never got a chance to do that kind of stuff before. So I got to, meet various musicians. I got to meet Viola Davis, which was really, really nice. So yeah, it's like, just being able to do music, it's been able to put me in collaboration with different media outlets and different entities at various times for various things.
So what are your goals in your future?
Well, right now, my goal ultimately is I want to put out more music. I want to work with some more people. And, I still have creative ideas that are constantly coming to me. And so I just really like the creative process. Like, I like the idea of have a thought about something or something's going on in the world, and I'm able to figure out a creative way to put that together, whether it's through music, whether it's through writing, whether it's through video. And so I'm continuing to do that. I'm starting to gear up for next year because I want to start doing performances since I have a bevy of songs that people know pretty well enough to want to see me in concert. So right now I'm looking towards doing that. I'm still putting out music videos. I just got back from Bali this past week, and while I was there, I shot a music video for one of the songs off of my current album. The song's called High Value Man, and so I was in a lot of nice places in Bali. So when I was there, I was like, this would be a great place to like show off some really highlighted sites and also put together a video. So yeah, still creating, still collaborating, still putting together music and stuff that I hope is going to be able to touch other people in a way that inspires them and is also creative.
You've released an album this year, right? Or
Yes.
okay, what's the name of the album?
So the album is called Allow Me to Reintroduce Myself, Volume 1, and it's a collection of 20 songs, many of which I put out as far back as 2008 up until this current year. So it's got a lot of new things on it. It's got a lot of re-recorded songs because some of the songs I recorded back in the day, the beats weren't owned by me. Like I got them off like this site called SoundClick, and so I had leased them, but I didn't own them. So I had some of those. I had to recreate some beats in order to put those songs out. Other ones I had made myself back in the day, and so I didn't have the best equipment back then, so I was able to re-record those so it sounds a lot better. And yeah, so far the response has been great. I've got a lot of great hits and streams on the album, and people are really responding to it.
On the producing side, right now at this moment, it's easier now for someone an artist to record something, right? To produce with the tech, with the technology right now at the moment. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, back in the day, I was recording on what's now called FL Studio, but it used to be called Fruity Loops. So I don't know what point they started having the ability to make electronic music kits and whatnot, but it's been very helpful to me because now, like these days, if I want to produce a song, I can go to my GarageBand, I can go to Logic, I can go to Pro Tools, and I can put together beats using either the instruments that are already on there, or I can create my own sounds and then import them into the studio and then make beats that way. So with our most upcoming single, the High Value Man, I was able to make that on my own accord on my GarageBand program. So, I'm still of the belief that, as an artist should not necessarily do everything, like, because that's brain power. Like the time it takes me to create a beat, I could be writing a song. And so I typically try to stick more to the writing side, but I found that it's still very, very, it's very great when I can still have the ability, if I want to put together a beat. Like if I have a thought in my head about, okay, I want this kind of beat, but I can't find anybody that's able to produce that beat. Let's see if I can put it together. Then it means I don't have to wait as long for a song to come out because I can just create it myself. And so I think it's been very empowering to artists. I think because there are so many artists that get on, and whether the beat's like very simplistic or whether it's complicated, the fact that artists can make their own beats if they choose to, and then put those out. And then also on the money side of things, if that song takes off, if that song gets put into a TV show, a video game, a movie, or whatever, then you get all the publishing for that. Because with music, if I write it and somebody produces it, we got to split that 50-50. If I do all of it, then I get all the monies. And so I think it's another opportunity for artists to be able to expand their portfolio and make some income.
So what about the vocals, like the mixing and all that? That still can be done at home with the equipment nowadays, right?
Yes, that is also true. That said, though, I have found that my ear for recording is a lot better than my ear for mixing. So I've found avenues to be able to have other people mix and master my stuff. Because I said, I can't do everything. Like I think as good, like, because I used to do everything. I would record my stuff and I would mix and master it, and it sounded okay. Like, I mean, it's got out there, got popular, but I found people that were able to take my vocals and just give them that oomph that takes them to the next level. So a lot of the songs, like for example, for the Allow Me to Reintroduce Myself album, the re-records sound better than the ones I did back in the day, simply because I was able to send them to somebody to get mixed and mastered. And so my vocals sound a lot more crisp. They're able to, whatever mistakes may be in the recording, or let's say there's like, it's uneven levels, they can take it, they can levelate it, they can make my voice sound a lot more crisp and just more dynamic. So that's why I really believe in, ultimately, artists should learn to not do everything themselves and to collaborate, because I spent years just being solo, and it's worked out, but it's like, it just, you get elevated to the next level with people that they have a specific skill set. Like somebody has a specific skill set to market, somebody has a specific skill set to master and do sound stuff. Like it just makes whatever you're trying to present look a lot better.
Where can people learn more about you and follow you?
So you guys can go to my YouTube page right now. It's youtube.com/aptsongs. My TikTok is also aptsongs. You can go there to check me out. But yeah, those are primarily the main platforms that you can go to. And I can be written to at aptsongs@hotmail.com.